Thank you for joining me for the video for indoor air pollutants. We are still in the middle of Unit 7. So as we begin this lesson, I want you to think about what some activities may be that will produce dangerous pollutants indoors, right? So think inside school, inside your house. What are some things that can produce some things that would not be so good to be breathing in? Okay, so some of the biggest ones are cigarette smoking, coal and wood burning, cooking fires, okay, that are indoors that maybe there isn't a whole lot of good ventilation for those emissions to leave a shelter. Manufactured materials, carpet is a big one. Other furniture too, cleaning products too. So these are all really big producers of indoor air pollutants. So now also think about what are some parts of the body that are at risk from dangerous air pollutants. Well, these are going to be your organs that are exposed to the air. So the respiratory system is the one that we are breathing in the air so that we can acquire some oxygen. So these naturally are going to be the structures where when you breathe in these hazardous air pollutants that they're going to cause some damage. So the bronchi, the bronchioles, as you look over here, these branches, the alveoli, as you go even deeper. Okay, these are the parts of your body that are most at risk of dangerous air pollutants. So the World Health Organization estimates that 3.5 million people die as a direct result of indoor air pollution every year. In general, air pollution is considered to be the world's largest single environmental health risk. That's really big. So if we look at this graph over here, air pollution in general, total, causes approximately 7 million deaths per year in the United States. Tobacco makes up 480,000 of those deaths. So that is very significant, right? And since we're talking about indoor air pollutants, well, guess what? Tobacco use, 500,000 people dying as a direct result of tobacco use. That is mainly because of the use of it indoors too. All right, so this diagram, I'm not going to go through every single one, but this is certainly one that would help to become familiar with. A bunch of these different ones. We will be talking about things like asbestos and carbon monoxide, a little bit about tobacco smoke, radon, but all these other ones too are would be helpful to become familiar with. Things like formaldehyde, chloroform. Interestingly, this actually comes from hot water as a result of chlorine being in treated water. Okay, so take a look at this, read some of that information, and use this in your little hunt for air pollutants around your house. So let's talk about some specific pollutants. First, we're going to talk about carbon monoxide. This is really important for indoor air pollution because the production of carbon monoxide and the breathing in of carbon monoxide is very dangerous. So we talked about how carbon dioxide does not pose a direct threat to our health. Well, carbon monoxide definitely does. It is considered to be an asphyxiant, which means that in this case, it's outcompeting oxygen in attaching to hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is normally the carrier on red blood cells to attach to oxygen to carry that to all of our cells that need it. But if you're breathing in carbon monoxide, well, guess what? It's going to attach to the hemoglobin, leaving no room for oxygen, meaning that the cells that the hemoglobin is normally carrying the oxygen to, well, they're no longer getting oxygen. So that's a really big problem. So essentially you're suffocating from the inside out, okay? So carbon monoxide is produced through the incomplete combustion. If it is complete combustion, we would be getting carbon dioxide, but nothing is ever 100% efficient. So that means that any sort of fossil fuel combustion, biomass combustion like wood, it's going to produce carbon monoxide. Particulates, okay, so particulate matter. Asbestos is probably the biggest one. This was used for many years in the 1900s as insulation, but breathing in these little tiny fibers that make up the insulation made up of the asbestos, when it gets into the lungs, it can cause lung cancer. So it's extremely dangerous. Dust, which is made up of primarily dead skin cells as well as other small particles, can cause certain respiratory issues such as COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, of which emphysema is one. Okay, and then smoke is made up of a lot of soot. So these are just unburned carbon particles, kind of produced in a similar manner to carbon monoxide through the incomplete combustion. These are actual just particles of carbon, solid carbon, that are suspended in the air. And breathing these in can cause issues such as coronary artery disease. So these are the arteries that are delivering blood, oxygen-rich blood to your heart. And then it can also cause lung disease and potentially cancer. Here are some other examples of anthropogenic air pollutants, so things that we produce on the inside. So dryer sheets can release ammonium salts, which can cause issues with asthma. Gas stoves produce nitrogen dioxide. Candles produce fine particulate soot. Cleaning products have volatile organic compounds in there that can be released in the air. Air fresheners have what are called glycol ethers, which when breathed in can cause nausea and fatigue. Air purifiers, certain ones like ionizing purifiers, actually release ozone, which is a big problem. Old pipes and paint can release lead, which when breathed in can eventually get to your nervous system and cause issues with your nerves. Carpets have what are called styrene, and breathing that in can lead to kidney and liver damage. And furniture will sometimes in the production of furniture, there will be formaldehyde, which can cause respiratory irritation and nausea. Okay, so this list is actually all natural air pollutants. So these are not anthropogenic. Radon 222, it is going to get produced by the breakdown of uranium 238. Radon 222 is radioactive just like uranium, but we would not be breathing in uranium. But when this is decaying, it eventually can become radon 222, which is a gas. And it gets released. Normally it would get released out into the air, but it actually will get released into the house where it can actually get concentrated. Mold in like maybe moist areas like in a house can form, and when they release spores, the spores can cause allergic reactions or even asthma attacks. Dust too can cause issues with allergies. Okay, so a little bit about radon 222. So there is uranium naturally in the ground, right? So this is not anthropogenic. Normally the uranium breaks down and radon gets released in the atmosphere where it is going to disperse, get diluted, and be in harmless levels. But if a house is built upon a uranium deposit, or especially a large one, well, as it's breaking down, the radon can get released up through cracks in the foundation of the house and then get kind of concentrated within the house, okay? So this map shows us areas in the United States where radon, there are large uranium deposits. So radon would be a large risk, including, so this dark red area, these are high risk areas. So it looks like us in Pittsburgh, not very good news, we're in high risk area. So radon is actually the second leading cause of lung cancer behind smoking, and 20,000 people die from radon caused lung cancer every year in the United States. So this is a very significant issue. Okay, and that is all for our video today. So thank you for tuning in.